Yes,
Here
we
we
are
are.
live. Yay!
Yay.
We're excited.
Or at least
And
not
hey,
dead. Yay.
and hey, we're glad you're here.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome to Combination Trivia. If you're here for the first time, welcome.
If you're
If
here
you're
for multiple times, thanks for coming back.
if you want to, this is the part where we're supposed to say, give us a like, give us a follow, give us a heart, give us a,
Tweet. A twing.
give us a,
Or whatever the X thing is now that used to be Twitter.
I know. Give us the bird. And
Give us the social media site formerly known as Prince.
and let us know. We're here for you.
Yeah. To talk about comics. Because,
Comic books. We like comic books.
Yes, we do.
And tonight, we are talking about comic books, specifically the Gargoyles comic books.
Yeah. Because it's October and monsters, but they're cool monsters. Because
we like monsters. We like monster comic books.
Yeah.
There's horror comic books, and it's what we've been talking about.
Yeah.
And let's get started. If you'd like
Absolutely.
to, if you're watching us live,
Yes.
why aren't you watching us live? You get to play along.
Yeah.
Plugging in the code or scanning the picture, and and if you're not watching us live, we usually do this Tuesday at 9.
Yes.
Maybe next time. Yeah. All right.
And off we go.
You ready? Gargoyles was first a what?
It was first.
Now we're talking about the Gargoyle comic book, the Gargoyle graphic novel, which is a thing.
Mm-hmm.
And while I think about the same time it was running, Gargoyles was debuting on the Disney network. It was part of the Disney Afternoon, right?
It was, yes.
Because yes, folks,
it was originally series.
It was a cartoon. It was a cartoon, right. Okay?
Part of the Disney Toons.
Exactly. Now it did have some comics that came out about the same time that the show was animated, but it was an animated series.
And even had a couple of video games that they made while they were making the animated series.
Exactly. But it was, at its heart, it always, it was an animated series. It was a cartoon. Currently,
it's on Disney.
Yeah. Now, Gargoyles are a Disney property. So, Gargoyles is considered a very dark and gritty story by Disney. So, if you're
came out in the 90s when everything was dark and gritty.
If you're on this grand spectrum of things, if you're looking for a really, really dark and gritty story, this isn't it. But it does have darker elements, although it's very honest and upright about the darker elements.
Yes.
Unlike Bambi, where the mother dies, but that's supposed, it's like, no. It's honest about the darkness. It's got some very complex storylines. The characters develop and change.
Yeah.
But so don't be fooled by the Disney tag.
Right.
Don't fall for it. Which is funny because the Disney villains they never die. They fall.
Right. Unless it's raining. That's a Disney animated thing.
Okay.
And speaking
now, these gargoyles, where are they from originally?
From some far off, wonderful place called Scotland. because
Correct.
stone monsters, Scotland.
Now, originally they're from Scotland, medieval Scotland,
Mm-hmm.
1,000 years ago. Now,
Yes.
if you've watched this more than once, we like science, and so
I do.
whenever we can, we like to put things in context. And this is that moment. Gargoyles are very common on tons of medieval and Gothic buildings throughout Europe and beyond.
Churches,
And
castles,
And gargoyles are
holes.
not just there for decorations. They have a point and they have a purpose.
Uh-huh.
Almost always, a gargoyle is part of a spout
Yep.
that takes the water away from the roof. And because the gargoyle is angled out, etc., when the water comes out the roof, it doesn't hit the side of the building. It just goes completely away.
Yep.
Um,
It's like the original version of the gutters, but the gargoyles. So they're
Now,
cool.
in this way, gargoyles actually protect the building. They
Yes.
protect it from water damage, from erosion,
Some people thought
damage
evil
to the
spirits as
mortar
well.
and the masonry. And yes, Mister, I'm going to talk all over me. If evil spirits, sure, because it's probably because the gargoyles actually were protecting the building and serving a purpose that people started thinking that they were also protecting on more than one level.
Sure. It's scaring away those
Scaring
damn
off,
birds.
scaring off evil spirits and whatnot.
And
In
pigeons.
the Gargoyle series, this thought continues, and the gargoyles, they protect their area. They protect the castle, they protect the surrounding area, and they consider protection their highest duty. It is what they are there for.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I don't think they deal with water, but that's another story. Now, the building, the castle that the gargoyles live in, is what?
Well, because they didn't have power back then, we know it's not Grayskull. So it's Castle Wyvern.
Correct. Now, Castle Wyvern was originally located in Wyvern Hill, Scotland.
Mm.
And the gargoyles were gargoyles, again, in this continuity, in this world, they existed. They were creatures that existed separate from the castle, but they agreed to defend the castle and be part of the castle and its inhabitants. And they agreed to protect it by night in exchange for the humans of the castle protecting the gargoyles by day. And I'm sure that will work out completely well and nothing will ever go wrong with that ever. Or
Yeah, absolutely.
what could possibly go wrong? Well, things went wrong and someone betrayed the gargoyles.
No, saying ain't so.
Who betrayed the gargoyles? And yes, I know it was a couple of people, but who?
Yeah.
Who was one of them on this list? Todd?
That would be
You know?
Captain Robert, because he's the one that's not a pirate.
Correct. Maybe he always wanted to be a pirate. Here's the thing. Yes, there were some other people, etc., but Captain Robert, he betrayed the gargoyles. He didn't mean to betray the gargoyles, but he did. And he did allow Castle Wyvern to fall. And and if you want to know more about the whole story, normally I would say read the book. This time I'll say go watch the past episodes. There's a reason.
Recap. Yeah. But then they found
the gargoyles are not in Kansas anymore. They're not in Scotland anymore.
They are not.
Where are they currently?
They're living it up right there in the center of Manhattan.
Correct.
Fighting the Indians.
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
So, Spider-Man's from Queens.
Yes.
X-Men
Brooklyn.
are in Westchester.
Mm-hmm.
And the New York Giants are in East Rutherford, New Jersey. But the
Here's
Gargoyles, they're in Manhattan.
mm-hmm.
And now that they're in Manhattan, they consider Manhattan their territory, and that's the territory they are protecting.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Because
because
what they call home now.
the castle's in Manhattan.
Yeah.
And who transported the castle to New York City?
All the way from Scotland.
To be clear, they didn't, none of these people physically transported themselves, but but being a billionaire, he paid for it to be transported. And
Yeah.
Todd, who was it?
That would be David Xanatos.
Correct.
Xanatos, I think so.
Yes. David Xanatos is a self-made billionaire who thought bringing over a medieval castle would be fun.
Yeah.
Could possibly go wrong.
Sure. Plus, fact, it looks cool on top of his building. It's like.
Yeah, we'll get into the building in a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Xanatos is a great example about how the Gargoyles have had complex characters who grow and change, etc. Yes, he's a villain, but he's not. But he's not. He's not just a villain. There's more to him than I'll get you. There's a lot to them. The Gargoyles have very complex characters, complex relationships.
He's kind of like Lex Luthor. He's he does some good occasionally. You just can't trust him much.
Yeah, Xanatos, he's famous for he'll put together these great plans, and if they go right, it benefits him, and if he go wrong, it benefits him. And he's smart. He's good, and he's got this building.
Yeah,
and it's the tallest building. I think it's the tallest building in New York. I don't know if it's the tallest building in the world, but Todd, who is the tallest building in
that would be
Gargoyles continuity?
The Erie building.
Yes.
Like an eagle's eyrie.
There you go. And again, it's in the continuity. It's the tallest building in New York City. I don't think in Gargoyles continuity, it's the tallest in the world. I could be wrong in this. Now, in real life, Todd, what is the tallest building currently in New York City?
That would be the One World Trade Center building known as the Freedom Tower.
Correct. And if you're sitting there saying, hang on, wait, didn't that get knocked over during 9/11? The World Trade Center complex with a total of like 8 or 9 buildings all told. The ones that went down were the North Towers and the South Tower, but one World Trade Center, 5, 7, etc., they're still there. And one World Trade Center is currently still standing. It is 104 stories tall. So don't let anybody tell you saying, hey, I have no, it's Freedom Tower. It's still standing, and it always will be.
Yes. Because it's got gargoyles protecting it. I like to think so. No?
So, what happened was, all right, so let's go this. According to the curse, the castle needs to what? Now, here's what happens. The Captain Robert, he lets bad people in. They come in. They start hurting the gargoyles. And then somebody decides, just for extra fun and pain, they're going to curse the gargoyles. The ones that remain, they're going to sleep and not be able to transform. They're going to stay stoned for 1,000 years until Castle Wyvern does what?
Well, since it's not American Idol, they're not soaring among the stars, so it's rise above the clouds. Because that would never happen to a castle on a moor in Scotland.
Yeah, that could happen. So yes, the Castle Wyvern gets transported stone by stone to be on top of the tallest building in New York, if not the
Mhm.
world,
Yes.
and that is enough for
You have to
the
put it above
curse
the
to be
clouds.
broken because the castle has risen above the clouds.
Yes. Because when you get that high up, the air is pretty thin. And windy.
So here they are in Manhattan, right?
Yep.
And who is the leader of the Manhattan clan?
That would be the wonderfully voiced Goliath.
Correct. Now, Goliath was the leader of the original Wyvern clan,
Oh,
and yes, is currently the leader of the Manhattan clan. In the show, Goliath is voiced by Keith David, who is a wonderful actor who's done what?
well, live action wise, he's been in Justified and half a dozen other action movies, but he's known for his voice and
Yeah,
does all sorts of animated character parts in other Disney movies. He was Dr. Facilier and Princess and the Frog,
that's right.
and he's done some stuff on Broadway, and you know, yeah, and narrated just about everything Ken Burns has done as a documentary in the last 25 years. Because he's got the voice.
Yeah, he does a really good job.
Uh-huh.
Now, Goliath, he
Yeah.
used to have a mate,
Uh-huh.
and the name his ex-mate goes by is what?
That would be Timona, not
Yes.
Desdemona, because that's Othello's mate, but Timona, because he's
Yeah.
demonic
And
looking.
Othello kind of is another Gargoyles character, but we're not going into that. Yes, it is Demona. And yes, remember Captain Robert? Remember how I said he kind of had some help?
Mm-hmm.
You know, Demona kind of helped him hurt the Gargoyles. So, kind of a bad breakup,
Yeah,
with
especially if you're a
Goliath.
stone gargoyle. Oh,
Yeah. Awkward
rock,
family dinner, just saying.
rocky relationship there. Bad
Now,
breakup.
Todd, there are
Yes.
no additional points.
Mm-hmm.
Who in the original series, who voices Demona?
That would be Marina Sirtis, Counselor Dean
Yeah,
Tour from Star Trek Next Generation. One of a multitude of Star Trek actors that give voices to the
yeah.
cartoon.
We'll get into that one later. Now, hey, by the way, about a week ago,
Mm-hmm.
Dynamite Entertainment, who's the folks currently publishing
Yeah.
the Gargoyles comics, they announced that they're continuing I think they're going to call it Gargoyles Quest.
Mm-hmm.
And it'll focus on Demona. It'll be all about her. She'll be the main character. So if you are interested in Demona, and she's kind of an interesting character, you
Yeah.
should definitely keep an eye on it.
Uh-huh.
It's written by, I believe it's going to be written by Greg Wiseman, who's, if you
One of
know
the main
Gargoyles, you know
runners.
that name.
Yep.
And again, we'll get into that in a minute, a little bit about Greg.
Yeah.
So there's Demona, there's there's
Yeah.
Goliath. Which of
Mm-hmm.
these is not the name of a gargoyle? Hmm? Hmm?
Mm. That would be because it's New York. We would say Houston.
Houston, Houston.
Because
Yeah. So
that's not a
Broadway,
midtown thing.
Broadway, Brooklyn, and Lexington, they're all gargoyles, and together they make up the trio.
Yes.
Um, Broadway developed likings for westerns and detective movies and cooking. Lexington is really fascinated by technology and mechanical things, and Brooklyn is pretty much the leader. And all of these characters through the years that on the show was developed, changed, etc. And if we haven't made it clear, I'd like to take a moment to say that there were 3 seasons of the original animated series. The stories that are in the comics now, they're continuing the story.
Yes.
They might, it's not a, gee, let's go revisit the greatest hits. They keep going. The characters keep growing.
Yeah. Like season 4 and beyond.
Exactly. With, again, the chance to have different spin-offs on different folks.
Yeah.
Now, one of the gargoyles is Coldstone. But Coldstone is kind of a different kind of gargoyle.
Yeah.
Coldstone's a what?
It's a zombie cyborg.
Because, what story is okay, really? Zombie cyborg? I'm not going into the continuity. Goldstone was killed, but then he got better.
Sure.
As you do.
Little voodoo, little mechanics.
Yeah. When he was resurrected, his mind was placed into the zombie cyborg.
Yeah.
Not to be confused with a robot.
No.
Yeah, you should probably read the books, watch the back episodes, try to figure that out. But again, Todd was mentioning the Star Trek folk.
Oh yeah.
Coldstone is voiced by
Michael Dorn, otherwise known as Worf.
And we mentioned that Marina Sirtis was Demona.
Yes.
Avery Brooks played a one-time character called Nokar. LeVar Burton played, I believe it was a one-time character, Anansi. But recurring character David Xanatos was played by
Jonathan Frakes.
Yep.
And the Riker himself.
Yep. Cole Meany was on the show. Kate Mulgrew was on the show. And that's not all.
Yeah, there's tons others of all the different series kind of running through it. So that's a good solid cast on this voice work. No slouches.
Now, in Gargoyle continuity, there's a couple powerful crime families. Which of these
is the most powerful?
Is the most powerful in the Gargoyles universe?
Right, Gargoyles. That would be the Dracone family.
Correct. Now, the Dracone crime family is currently run by Tony Dracone, Tony to his friends.
Yeah, Anthony.
Tony has had many run-ins with the Manhattan clan. Some of the other members of the Dracone family are Dominic Dracon, who's Tony's grandfather and a little bit of a jewel thief. And then there's Antoinette Dracon, who is Tony's sister. And this doesn't even begin, and I'm not even getting into the various henchmen, underlings, and whatnot that keep crime going and growing on the streets of Manhattan.
Yeah, because it's a nice run organization, that family.
Opportunity for growth. By the way, if you see Tony and you see that big white stripe in his hair, that apparently happened as a result of a confrontation with Broadway and Goliath. His hair turned white. I'm sure everything went,
Yeah. Got scared witless.
Scared, yeah. And then there's Elisa.
Yeah.
Very important to the Gargoyles. And she's got a super fun day job.
She does.
Todd, what's her day job?
She's a police detective.
Correct.
Yes.
Not just a police, she's a New York City police detective, second class,
Oh.
and she works out of the 23rd precinct.
Yeah.
Which I think is actually, I think it's actually geographically correct. Now, Elisa first encountered gargoyles when she was investigating a series of disturbances. When Goliath kind of started moving, shocked her. And then the rest was history. They get along well, Goliath and Elisa. Read the book, find out how. By the way, in Gargoyles continuity, Elisa's full name is
Elisa Michelle Mazzi.
And talking about Star Trek folks, Elisa's mom was voiced by
Nichelle Nichols, Lieutenant Uhura herself.
Exactly.
Yes, the first main woman in space.
Elisa is voiced by Sally Richardson, Eureka, Stitchers, other stuff.
Yeah.
Now, in this story specifically, Gargoyles #1.
Yes.
Goliath quotes somebody.
Yeah.
Who's he quote?
Well, you would think with Gargoyles once being published by Marvel would be like somebody like Spider-Man, but it's actually Batman, which kind of fits.
Yeah. So I don't know. Okay, the quote we're talking about, it's a very famous Batman quote. And the quote is, "Criminals are a superstitious, cowardly lot, so my disguise must be able to strike terror into their hearts." When Batman was originally talking about the fact of like, why the heck was he running around
dressed like a bat?
With a big old yellow symbol on it. It's like, why? Because he wants to scare the criminals. Yeah. And what Goliath says is, Todd?
If human criminals are superstitious and cowardly a lot, this may work to our advantage.
So,
big batwing looking things flying off the rooftops.
Yeah. Scaring me.
Yep.
And if they decide to put a little yellow thing in there, that won't work too.
Not to mention the fact that half the people that worked on Batman the Animated Series worked on this show.
Nothing but the best. Now, hey, so here's the official blurb, which we like to do. These are all new stories from series creator Greg Weisman. Greg Weisman was part of the team that created Gargoyles originally. He's written these books, the other and upcoming books that Dynamite is going to put out. He's writing those as well.
Has notes galore apparently.
Yeah. He wrote the Bible, series creator. It's going to be good, and it's going to be in line with the Gargoyles you knew, you loved, you watched as an animated series. And that's actually in the blurb. 1,000 years ago, superstition and the sword ruled. It was a time of darkness. It was a world of fear. It was the age of the Gargoyles. Stone by day, warriors by night. They were betrayed by humans they had sworn to protect. Frozen in stone by a magic spell for 1,000 years. Now, here in Manhattan, the spell is broken and they live again. They are defenders of the night. They are
Gargoyles.
And again, if you're not familiar with the show and you've never seen it, series creator Greg Weisman and illustrator George Combadice reintroduced the Manhattan Clan, and which is the family of gargoyles. And they're in the modern New York City, which is full of attractions and distraction. And each member of the clan has begun to go their own way. Again, these characters grow and change and build new relationships and change relationships. And all I'm going to say is, according to the blurb, there's an unhatched gargoyle egg. Now, Greg Weisman, we were talking. He worked at Walt Disney Television Animation for a number of years.
Uh-huh.
He worked on Darkwing Duck, Gummy Bears, Tailspin, Bunkers, Raw Tunage, DuckTales, Aladdin, DuckTales the movie, Aladdin the series, and God help me, Mighty Ducks.
Yes.
And in
That was when they were
1991,
hockey players from space. The animated series.
not to be confused with the live action show, but
Right.
in 1991, Greg, with his team, they started creating and developing Gargoyles.
Yeah.
And then Greg went to DreamWorks, and let's see, he wrote for Men in Black, the series, Hercules, Disney's Hercules, Big Guy and Rusty, Buzz Lightyear of Star Command. I mean, so much stuff.
Uh-huh.
And now he is writing, and during his free time, he's writing the Gargoyles comics for Dynamite, including the new series and more new series that are coming out.
Yes.
Now, George, on the other hand,
stellar artist.
Yep. He's worked with DC. He's done this stuff for Dynamite. He's worked with IDW, with Image, with Dark Horse, Boom, Oni, etc. I think right now he's doing John Carter of Mars, and maybe some stuff for The Flash.
Yeah.
So hey. So right now I'm playing. Thanks for coming. Thanks for testing your knowledge.
Yeah.
We're
Check
glad
out
you're
Gargoyles.
here. Please, please, please let us know. Let us know what you like. Let us know what you don't like. Let us know what you're reading. What are your favorite comic books? What would you like us to talk about? We occasionally get guests. So which of your favorite comic book artists and comic book writers would you like us to try to get?
Because we'll go hunting.
But above all,
read more comics, kids.
Exactly.
Yes.
Comics are good for you.
They are. Better than candy corn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. We'll see you next week. Bye.